The budget was originally 125, and we have probably put into it, I'm going to say we're almost at 175, 180, about 175, 180,000.
This is Truly Independent, a show that demystifies the indie film journey by documenting the process of releasing independent films in theaters. Each week, Garrett Batty and I, Darren Smith, will update you on our journey, bringing guests to share their insights into the process and answer your questions.
Welcome to Truly Independent. I am so excited for this episode. Darren, nice to see you.
You as well.
Well, it was a good way to end the year, and we had hopefully you had a great New Year's, and I'm excited for this a whole nother year of episodes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And with us, one of the things that I'm most excited about today is for our first episode of the year, we have with us a guest, Jewel Powell. Thank you for being here. We are so excited for you to be here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Now, we met just over email, and you reached out to show me a trailer for your latest film, and I couldn't believe it. It was so fun to see familiar faces in it and see the story. And so we are going to talk with you this episode about this being your first film and how it all came together and things you've learned and things you can teach and just great experiences about filmmaking.
Yes, it was such an exciting experience. So I would love to talk about it.
Tell us a little bit about your movie first. Like, what's the movie about? And then we definitely have a list of questions that we want to dive into to hear about the process.
Yes, thank you. So the movie is Unfailing Love, and it's a modern day version of the Book of Hosea. So it's a Christian film, and it is a beautiful love story of how Jesus, because Hosea represents Jesus, right? He's a forerunner of Jesus. And it's about Jesus's unfailing love towards us, that every time we run into the world or we run away from him, we're committing spiritual adultery. And so, but yet he keeps running after us, even though we come back and then we leave him again and we come back. And so it's this tumultuous love story, but it just exemplifies how Jesus doesn't care, that he's going to keep running after us no matter what.
Wow.
I love it. What a powerful subject for a film, and a powerful subject for a first film. I understand that this is your debut film. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes. So
and you were multi-hyphenate, right? You were writer, director, producer. Is that right?
As among casting and production coordination and all the other things that, when you have a limited budget, you're kind of doing 4, 5, 6 jobs at one time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're well aware.
Well, yeah, that is the nature of independent film, as we all know. Yes. So, Jewel, can you tell us about, okay, first of all, what's the status of the film? Where are you now? Is it done? Have you released it?
Yeah, so we did the premiere July of last year, and cool. I have been just going to churches, showing them. Churches are hosting the movie, and we just started doing streaming. As far as there's Deep Sea Digital, they have it on their streaming platform. They're an independent Christian film company. And then I put it on my platform, my YouTube platform, today at 12 o'clock. So it just released today at 12 on my YouTube channel.
Congrats. That's awesome.
Congratulations. Yeah. So if you are listening right now or watching this podcast, you can click over there at the end of this episode and check it out. And we can put your information and links in our
Jewel R. They said Jewel R. Powell. Yes.
Okay.
Look at that. Usually we save that for the end because people want to know how to get in touch with it. But there we go. Yeah. So Jewel, where did this story come from? What inspired it, and how did you get it from an idea to I'm turning this into a movie?
Yeah. So in 2020, I was retiring from the Postal Service as a manager of the Postal Service. And I asked the Lord, what was next? At 55, what's next, Lord? I know I'm not finished. And I heard the Lord clearly say, write a modern day script of the Book of Hosea. And I have never done film, never wanted to do film, no training in film, didn't know what a line producer versus a DP, had no idea what that was, and learned and did it.
You just did it. You just jumped in.
Well, when you hear from the Lord and you know it was the Lord, when I first heard it, I thought I was going crazy because again, film, who does like that's a big deal. And so I was writing the script, and I remember the day I finished the script, I'm yelling to the Lord, like, what am I supposed to do with this? And he said, make the movie. And within 30 minutes, my neighbor comes and, well, she calls me and she says, hey, they're filming a movie at Nicole's house. Do you want to be an extra? Nicole lives where I can see from my house to her house. I can see them. And so I'm walking down the street and I hear action, cut. And I'm like, oh, I can do this. Like,
Wow.
just seeing it, God just showed me in within 30 minutes of me crying out what to do, he showed me. And then the lady said, we don't need any extras. Where do you live? And I said, I live in that house right there. And she said, oh, can we use your house for our film? And I said, sure. And then my friend was like, she writes movies. And she said, oh, we always need material. Now she's a producer of over 30 films that she's done so far. And so I said, okay. So she came to my house, and I'm going to pause here for a second because this is critical. For years, the Lord told me to stop watching TV, movies, everything. He didn't want me to watch anything. And I said, I can't watch anything. He gave me one show to watch, and that was A Different World. And Jasmine Guy was in A Different World. So on Wednesday, when they come to my house, because the whole time I'm crying out, Lord, is this you? Is this you? I need confirmation. But I'm still walking by faith. I'm still writing and I'm still doing the things by faith. I haven't gotten the confirmation yet, but I'm still walking by faith. And when they knock on my door, Jasmine Guy was at my door.
I mean, at that point, what are you feeling? What are you just feeling at that point?
At that point, I'm like, oh, let's go. Like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready. He told me to do it. He confirmed for me to do it. Oh, it's done. It's as good as done. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's amazing.
Okay. And then somehow that project finishes. They film at your house. You're still kind of getting this feeling of like, hey, I need to do this.
Yeah. Well, because at that point, I'm like, okay, what do I need? How do I produce this? How do I make this a reality? And I heard the Lord say, go to the film festival and the Christian Film Festival in Orlando. And he said, you will meet people. You'll meet the right people. And so I'm at that film festival. I'm there every day. I'm not meeting the right people, y'all. So the last day, the last class, it was like 9:00 at night. Yeah. I wasn't even going to go because I'm like, this was a bus, right? So I go to the class. They're asking any questions. And I said, excuse me, this is my first time. I think I need something like a line producer or a DP. Like, where do you find those people? And the guy said, they're sitting right behind you. And those are the people that I used in my film.
Is that right?
Yep. And we'll use them every day, all day, forever, because one of the lessons that I've learned, and this is for the people who are listening that want to do this, you find the people who have already been there and done that. Do not try to do, because as a newbie, my film could have looked a hot mess. But because I had people who knew what they were doing, that made this film so much better.
Wow. I think we found the story for your next movie, which is your story of how you made this movie.
It's amazing. It's amazing, right? Because, Jewel, you're talking to two people that have worked years and years and years and years trying to get a film done. Oh, wow. And I think that is more common, as you probably have found. That is more common with independent film than what you've gone through. And I just think what a testimony it is that you were, in tune and inspired and listening to the Lord and letting him guide you through this process.
Absolutely.
You could call it Unfailing Faith. And now you've got a series going. Unfailing Love, Unfailing Faith, Unfailing Hope.
Absolutely.
There you go.
And I watched the trailer, which is amazing because you're right. The film looks incredible. It does not look like a first time filmmaker film, and you have an amazing cast. It was fun to see Cameron Arnett, who was in our last movie, Faith of Angels. So how did that all come together with you then putting together this amazing crew, amazing cast, and getting into production?
Yeah. And I think that's the key, what you said, finding an amazing crew, finding an amazing cast. And so with the two that were sitting behind me who knew people in the industry already, that's how I was able to get Cameron, because I didn't know Cameron. But when he's read the script, he loved the story. And finding just, putting out there to family and friends, do you know of anybody that would be interested in filming? What's so funny is that some people will not believe in you in the beginning. You tell people, family and friends. Now, my true family and friend members knew that if Jewel says she's gonna do it, it's gonna get done. It's as good as done. Other people are like, Jewel making a movie, yeah, right. So trying to find even extras was so hard. And so in my film, I had to be the mother of the film because I couldn't find an actress to be the mother. Like, I'm sending out stuff. Is there anybody interested? And then the Lord said, you do it. I'm like, I don't want to do it. I have a million things that I'm already doing. So to think about doing my first film, it's amazing to me when I hear me saying these things. How do you do your first film and you're doing all of these different parts? It was fun. It was actually fun for me. It was amazing. The experience was amazing. It was amazing to the point where I said, I got a little mad at the Lord because I'm like, Lord, why did you wait to 55?
Yeah.
I could have been doing this my whole life. Why 55 for me to start making films? And I know the reason now, but here we are.
Yeah. So faith-based films often have a different journey or unique journey. So at the time, did you know that there are strategies that you're using to get this film made and released, or you're just following by faith?
I'm just following faith. I'm just following the Lord. And it's hard. Was easy, I'm gonna say, for me, writing the script, although I did several revisions of it. One of the things that I've seen lately with independent films is that people don't tell good stories. They think they've told a good story because it's on paper, but there has to be so many revisions. There have to be so many people looking at it and giving you true advice as to, you're missing a piece here. I'm not feeling this. There's a gap here or whatever. And I have really good people that help me with that piece. But so that was easy and fun. Producing it was fun. But this post was fun, but now distribution, like this is my hardest part, was the distribution, because even for it to be a faith-based film, churches did not want to host it. Because one, I'm a nobody in their eyes, right? Two, I've been getting some feedback that is a little too gritty. Three, that is not considered a faith-based. It is a Bible-based movie. This is strictly based on the Bible. But because of the grittiness of it, people are not considering it faith-based. So PureFlex has denied it. Other Christian streaming platforms have denied it because it's not your typical, Christian faith-based movie.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's it. I mean, that is the nature of the industry, and they have their audiences. But it sounds like you are still determined and still successfully finding churches and audiences, and as any good story will do, it will find its audience.
Absolutely. I know the good part for me is because I know once I got confirmation from the Lord, you can't stop me now. So I know that he called it. I know he's going to make a way for it. And what's so interesting is that there's so many Pharisees out here, because the bottom line is that if you're going, that it has to be this religious way and it has to be this thing, God is trying to open up doors, because the Bible, guess what? The Bible is gritty. The Bible itself is gritty.
Sure.
David was gritty. Apostle
Yeah.
Paul was gritty. So my film has no nudity, no cursing, is strictly Bible, and yet it is gritty. There is a guy who's prostituting a woman, but that's in the Book of Hosea.
Yeah. No, that is a parable. Yeah. So that is a challenge. That's a unique aspect of these faith-based films. So knowing that now, are there things in your, like, how will that affect your next project? Do you say, okay, I wanna pursue the Pure Flix audience, or am I going to keep building, or whatever the Lord tells me to do? I guess
I have to remain faithful to who I am, because I first questioned, when I got all of these no's, when I'm knocking on doors, those type of doors, I had to question, did I do the right thing? And the Lord said that he knew who he was picking and what I would produce by doing this type of movie. And I made a movie and will continue to make movies that I want to see. Those other Christian type movies this is why people don't like Christian movies, and why they don't want to see Christian movies, because they consider them, I'm sorry to say, corny. It's not reality. And so I want to make movies that people can see themselves in, the mess that they're in, and how to get out of it, because Jesus is the way.
That's amazing. I want to actually skip back a second, because we kind of glossed over it, but putting together a script, something you can do on your own in your house, on your laptop, like you can write the script. Going to these events and networking and meeting people is all stuff that anyone can do, right? Maybe there's a cost of like driving to Orlando and putting yourself up in a hotel and buying a registration for this event. But like for very little money, you can get to the point where you have a team put together, you've got some cast, and you've got a script. There's a big gap that we kind of jumped over between you had those things in place, but you still need now a budget in order to produce this movie. And so I'd love to, whatever you're willing to share about what the budget was for the movie and how did you raise the money? Because that's a part where a lot of our audience goes, I have so many ideas and I have all these things ready to go, I just don't have the money. So what was your experience with fundraising and getting the money and to produce the movie?
That is a very good question, because I'm really at that state right now, because I'm trying to get my Christmas movie done. And so the first movie, though, when I asked the Lord that, when he said to do it, and I'm like, okay, Lord, where are we going to get the money? How are we going to work? And he said, what do you have? Well, I don't have nothing, Lord. And he asked me a second time, what do you have? I don't have anything. When the Lord asks you 3 times, he already knows that there's an answer. You just haven't gotten the revelation of it yet, right? Just like Peter, right? So the third time he asked, and I said, okay, he's asked me because he knows. Well, Lord, I know you're not talking about my retirement money, because that's my retirement money. And he said, will you give it all? And I gave it all.
Okay.
So you self-funded your first movie?
Yep.
Holy cow.
Every dime.
Say more about this, please. Like, have you shared, or are you willing to share what the budget was, or what the range of the budget was? Because I'm assuming this wasn't a big $2 or $3 million indie.
Oh, no. It was, the budget was originally $125, and we have probably put into it, I'm going to say we're almost at 175, 180, about 175, 180,000.
Yeah, it's amazing. And to do what you've done, I haven't seen the trailer yet, but I saw a few images on IMDb. Like, it looks like a movie. And to get actors like Cameron Arnett, that typically doesn't happen on a $125,000 budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All I can say is thank you, Jesus.
Well, it seems very on brand. He's done things in the past where he's taken what people have and multiplied it into more, right?
Absolutely.
That's incredible. That's so cool to hear.
Jewel, what do you? It is. Your story is so familiar. I'm looking. My first film was very similar, not the story wise, but one of these kind of leaps of faith. The budget was exactly that, 125,000. I was working full time at the time. Stopped, take a leave from my job and put everything I had into it. And I mean, it's a familiar story for a first time filmmaker to do that. Scary to be able to do that or to attempt to do that. And often questioned like, okay, well, is that just a lack of faith to be afraid, or do I just need to have more faith? What are your thoughts on that? I mean, when you're laying awake at night going, what have I done? Or, maybe you get that rejection letter from Pureflix and going, oh, this is not how I expected things to turn out. Does that exist, or are you just completely still able to see the hand of the Lord?
Yeah, I've been seeing the hand of the Lord the whole time.
Okay.
The whole time he's been showing me, and he had already warned me that it was going to be hard in the end. He said it's going to seem seamless in the beginning, but it's going to be hard in the end because the enemy is going to try to stop this movie from going forward. He said, but in the end, I will do what he said he was going to do, which was to get it out there. When the doors are shut, it doesn't bother me because the Bible tells me that no man can shut a door that God has opened. So if a door is shut, then I know that must not be God, and I don't want to walk through that door anyway. That's where my faith is. And so, not afraid. I'm excited. I'm excited to see the world, the accolades that we have received. Like, we've received over 15 awards. And even at that Christian film festival that we went to, the first time I went to find those two guys, we went back 2 years later and we won Audience Best Choice Award for that film.
Wow. I love it.
And the accolades, like the guy that has it on his streaming platform, I went through 250 comments the other day because it's been on for 2 days on his website. And today it was like over 185,000 views. And I saw about 250 comments, and I went through each comment, and people are getting it. They're understanding the love of Jesus. And so my work, I am so happy with, and the gift that God has given me to write and produce movies, and I mean, television shows are coming. Like, I'm excited about my future at 58.
I love it.
So rad.
Jewel, okay, the movie is Unfailing Love. It's available on your website and other streaming sites.
Not the other streaming sites yet. There is one other streaming platform, Deep Sea Digital, and we're also getting it in other places too, but they haven't come on those yet.
Okay. Well, we can keep looking for it, but you've got your IMDb page up. It has Cameron Arnett in it. I mean, it just sounds like something that we gotta see. So thank you very much for coming on and talking about it.
Thank you for having me.
That's amazing. What is next for you, Jewel?
I have a Christmas movie. I have a Christmas script that is ready to go, and we're just waiting on funding. So the Lord told I was going to get a loan on my house, a HELOC loan, and the Lord said no.
Please don't do that.
Yeah, the Lord said no. He said no, don't do it.
Yeah, listen to that. Don't do that.
And he said, I will provide. And so I'm waiting on the Lord to provide the money. I live this life by faith. This is what he's calling me to do. Look, I'd say if it's the Lord's will, then it's his bill. So I'm waiting on him.
I love it.
Amazing. Gosh, it was such a joy to meet you and to chat with you today. You said people can go, is your website jewelrpowell.com?
The YouTube channel,
jewelrpowell.com.
To watch the movie. Yep. And impactnationsentertainment.com is the website.
So great. Thank you so much. It's wonderful chatting with you today. Hopefully we'll hear an update in a couple months about the next one.
Yeah, we want to have you back to talk about the Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Is it gritty?
A little bit. A little bit.
All right.
Yeah, a little bit.
No, I'm just playing, but
My stuff is
good.
my stuff is gonna be where you gonna enjoy it, And for guys, I mean, you guys, y'all have your own movies and the types of movies that you want to see. I'm gonna tell you, guys are crying at my movie.
Oh, nice.
When you read, they're like, guys are like, I had sinus problems, or
One was in my eyes in the theater.
The goal is to get the sleeve wipe. If you can get the sleeve wipe, you know you've done all right.
The guys are absolutely loving the movie too. So that's a blessing.
I'm glad to hear it. Jewel, thank you so much. We'll chat with you soon.
Thank you. God bless you.
Oh man. What a powerhouse. Jewel Powell she said she was 55 and the Lord told her to make a movie and she'd never done anything in film before. And then now she has a movie with Cameron Arnett in it that's on the internet. Like, that's amazing. What a cool story.
I love it. I mean, that is the heart of being truly independent. Yeah. And she was dependent on the Lord. I mean, that clearly the Lord was her partner in that film. And she was just following by faith, and look at what she's done. Everybody's journey is different. Like, I mean, when she tells that story, I get so excited for her, and at the same time think, well, why didn't it go that way for me? But I can't ask that. I can't fall into that. I say, look, everybody's journey is different, and I just want to champion her for following her dream like that.
Yeah, so cool. I would not recommend people take out loans against their house to fund their movies. And I would not recommend that people use their retirement. But hey, if the Lord tells you to, you should listen to the power that you trust in, not necessarily some white guy on a podcast.
I was glad to hear that she did not, that she felt that prompting as well to not take a mortgage out. I've heard story after story after story of that not going the right way. At the end of the day, I mean, the goal is to get the movie made and to be able to continue to do that. And I think if you put yourself in a very precarious situation to live, then you can't focus creatively on what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, well said. So I'd love to just dive into box office for a little bit, because in my mind, Christmas, the last 2 weeks of the year is like dominated by all the big movies that are saving all their gunpowder for the last 2 weeks of the year, right? We had Sonic the Hedgehog 3 come out 2 weekends ago. Mufasa, The Lion King come out 2 weekends ago. So this last weekend, they're still in the number 1 and 2 slots.
Which, are you as surprised as I am that Sonic outperformed Mufasa?
I am not, because I follow Jonas Barnes, who was responsible for a lot of the branded marketing with Sonic 3. And just talking about how much more awareness there was for Sonic 3 than there was for Mufasa. And it's interesting too, because Mufasa wasn't necessarily the way it's kind of framed in the industry, from what I've seen, is that Mufasa wasn't a movie people were asking for. Whereas Sonic 3 is definitely a movie that people were asking for. They greenlit Sonic 4 before Sonic 3 hit theaters, like a few days before they announced that they were going to make a fourth one. And so there's demand from the marketplace for that franchise. And Mufasa feels like maybe more of a play to just try and expand a franchise that no one's asking to have it expanded. So it's certainly making money. They're kind of neck and neck. Mufasa has done 113 million so far. Sonic 3 has done 136 million so far. So it's not like they're crazy, but 37 million for Sonic this weekend, 36.8 for Mufasa. They're neck and neck. They're right there. I think it's kind of sixes to say, well, this one's way overselling, or this is the number 1 movie and this one is not. It's like they're both the biggest movies these last 2 weekends. But yeah, it's interesting that the powerhouse that is Disney and Pixar, and I guess Pixar is not involved in Mufasa, but Disney didn't do it, right? That with all the marketing firepower that they have, they couldn't get more people to go and buy tickets. So what do you do?
Yeah, I was surprised. I was surprised that opening weekend, Christmas weekend, Sonic about doubled Mufasa's opening, as far as, and it played on less theaters and did better. Now they are having a drop off, so certainly this weekend they are neck and neck. But opening weekend, it was not a contest. and I was amazed at that.
Oh yeah,
Nosferatu.
I
It's
didn't see
interesting to
that.
see Nosferatu doing 40 million already, which is astounding.
Yeah,
Way to
amazing.
go,
And
Focus Features.
yeah, and then we got to call out Homestead by Angel Studios, our friends over there. We know a lot of people who worked on the movie. Our friend Ivy was in the movie. She was in Faith of Angels, and she's in that show. We should be technical. It's the first, I believe, the first 2 episodes of a series that they put in theaters, similar to how they've released The Chosen in the past in theaters. But it did 6 million its opening weekend and was like in the top 10. Let me go back and look. It was like the number 5 movie on Christmas weekend or the week before Christmas. It came out on the 20th and beat out Gladiator 2, which is in its 5th week, Kraven the Hunter in its 2nd week, Red 1 in its 6th week, Lord of the Rings in its 2nd week. So it did really, really, really well. So congrats to them to do 6 million in an opening weekend against Sonic and Mufasa and Wicked and Moana 2. Like, good job, guys. They did it.
I want to shout out a big news story this week. John Michael Finley, who was in Faith of Angels, has announced that they are making. If I can, let's see, I Can Only Imagine 2. Which we're very excited for him, and congratulations to the Irwin brothers and John for that announcement. And we look forward to talking more and more about that with him.
Yeah, it's very cool. He's back on stage in New York and doing a Broadway show right now. But to hear that he's doing another movie excites me. It's very cool, and it just shows how lucky we are to have gotten him, because he doesn't. It's not what he does. He doesn't do movie all the time. He's not doing 3-4 movies a year. He's doing one every 5 or something. So very cool, and congrats to them. That's going to be a hit for sure. But yeah, interesting to see that even, smaller or indie films can still break top 10 in Christmas weekends, big, big, big weekends for movies. And there's still a market there. And I think what Angel has done really well is they've built their own audience that will show up. And, they basically have guaranteed every movie that they make is going to break 8 figures in theaters. I think I was looking at it. Homestead is in its 2nd week and it's already at 12.8 million in box office. That's awesome, right? And so they figured out how to activate an audience that'll go and see their movies in theaters, and to the tune of, 1 million or more people every time. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So,
Darren, one of the things I'm looking forward to is NRB in February. So if you're listening to this or watching this, I'd encourage you to check out NRB, a gathering of Christian communicators. And we'll be talking about a couple of upcoming things with that. But at this point, we're planning on I'll be out there, and I look forward to meeting and talking and chatting with listeners, and maybe even recording a few interviews for upcoming episodes.
yeah, it looks like a great event, and it's like 11th year, I think. And so I got invited by someone to say, hey, if you're going to be in town, we're hosting some events and we'd love to have you. And I was like, I haven't even heard about this convention before. Let me look into it. I sent it to you, and I think you booked your ticket the same day. So we will be there. We're excited to check it out. And so if you're listening and you're involved, or if you have other events or festivals or things that you think we should come to, like, send us an email. Let us know. We'd love to come, and we could do a live show. We could do interviews. We could present. Like, there's a lot of fun ways that we could be involved. So very cool. I'm excited for this one. Looks like they've got some good people that are going to be there and some good sponsors. So fun times ahead. It's going to be a year of doing a lot of those type of events. I think both of us are going to be focusing on that to expand the awareness of what we're working on, but also connect with more people in the industry that are kind of the same mind, trying to put good content into the world. So exciting times.
It is exciting times. Over the past couple of weeks, over the Christmas break, I've been working on more and more different pitch decks and story ideas. I have about 4 or 5 that I'm now sharing and pitching. I'll be showing those to people at NRB and anybody else who's interested as we start to gear up for hopefully a couple of productions in 2025.
Amazing. And we're gonna document all of it. So buckle up. It's gonna be a big year for both of us. So
yeah.
All right, man.
Okay.
Another good one. Thanks, dude.
Yeah, we look forward to chatting with you next week. Be sure and share the podcast with others, and feel free to ask any questions.
Awesome. See you next week.
Take care.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Truly Independent. To join us on the journey, be notified, and ask us questions about today's episode, head over to 3coinpro.com/podcast and put in your name and an email address. If you're a fan of the show, please leave us a review on your favorite podcast app and be sure to share this. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week. Our intro and outro music is Election Time by Kjartan Abel.